Hello everyone and welcome to episode 4 of the Wizard101 Story Guide series. Last episode we went over Marleybone. This episode we're going to be going over Grizzleheim, which Grizzleheim I do find interesting. And it's actually a shame because I feel like there isn't, in the books there isn't as much lore as I would like. But there is still some that I want to go over in the exposition portion of the video. So let's get right into that. The first book you come across is the story of Yorl. It's actually a very interesting one to me. From the Darkling Woods came the Sage King of Hragar, wealthy in lore and runecraft. The young warrior Yorl would learn the runes from Hagar. The truth they told. Hagar's counsel served Yorl wise, and in times to come, Yorl was named his son and his king. Thane and Thrall were Yorl's two brothers. Master and servant were their roles. Konar the Young was, that was the beginning of the other story. But basically, the story of Yorl is kind of cool because it shows where the title Jarl came from, which is obviously Yorl Jarl. And Thane is directly under the Jarl. Thrall is the subjects. So I find that to be very interesting. It's like a kind of origin for the word Jarl, and it shows like where it came from. Jarl is the title that I believe is given to the ones underneath the king. So there's King, Jarl, Thane, and then Thrall is kind of like the lowest of the low. That kind of is how it goes. If you've played the game Skyrim, you kind of know that. There's the High King of Skyrim, and then there's the Jarls of the 7 holds, and then, or is it 9, 8 holds? I don't know. And then below that is the Thane, who is the Jarl's most trusted, and then Thrall is kind of like his subjects, so I find this to be very interesting. There isn't really too many other stories. There's a lot about runes, and runes kind of don't really have to do with history, but they're kind of just, you know, cool. They're runes. But the other story that's here, there's 2 more stories that are here that I want to go over. The first one is the story of the Grendels. First mother of the Grendels sought safety for her child. To all things she sought an oath against harm. To soothe the worried mother of all oaths, but one were sworn. It was not the Spider Queen's nature to keep a promise. To live untested and unthreatened is to live without humility. Monstrous and evil grew the Grendel kin. Old oaths forgotten are still potent wards against harm. The first among the Grendels hold little in fear. A nuisance are the youngest of the wretched kind. A calamity are the eldest and the strongest. So basically, what happened, from my understanding, is that a being of kind of higher standing, which is the Spider Mother, which I don't know if that is referencing Grandfather Spider or something like that, but basically gave the Grendels power and influence. So basically they ruled over the land for a while, and in that they got cocky and they grew evil. And basically the Grendel kind grew and grew and grew, and without anyone to challenge them, you know, they basically grew evil and monstrous. So eventually, from what I understand, the Grendels were pushed out by the bears, and the bears, wolves and ravens basically just came to be from them, and the Grendels still exist and they are battling them. Beyond that is Tooth, Claw, and Wing, which is the last book. 3 tribes inherited this land. Bear, Wolf, and Raven call it home. Mighty warriors, makers of fine things, honor and strength are the bear's way. Swift hunters and night runners, speed and cunning are the wolf's way. Crafty sages and honeyed speakers, magic and counsel are the raven's way. Together they must dwell here, peace must govern them all always. So basically, this is a pact between the bears, wolves, and ravens that has been made to share this land and to live in peace amongst them. Obviously, we know this doesn't really come to pass, but I find this to be interesting and basically how it works. So it seems like the bears and the wolves live in peace nowadays, with the ravens kind of feeling a bit angry. So let's get right into the story of it. So we come to Grizzleheim with a distress call from Merle Ambrose. Basically, there's some trouble going on there. Wizard is sent to investigate at level 20. We come here, and what is his name? Bjorn Ironclaw? Is that it? Balder Goldpaws sends us to Bjorn up here, I believe. Basically, we need to talk to the king, and the problem with that is that is his name Bjorn Ironclaw? Was I right? Yeah, Bjorn Ironclaws. Oh, fuck. I didn't mean to go in here. Basically, we need to speak to the king. But the problem is that he won't let us because there's too much going on. And also, we have not proved our worth. We could be like an assassin or something after the king. So, he's like, okay, you can see the king. But first, you have to go deal with the shit that's going on. So, he sends us first to Saverstad Pass. Saverstad Pass. I always used to say Saverstad Pass because I'm like fucking dyslexic, but it's Saverstad Pass. Basically, we come here and we come to this bear guy. What's his name? Let me see what his name is first. We come to Hagen Shieldbreaker. Basically, he tells us we need to deal with the shit going on here. So we fight some of the bear spirits over here. We calm down some of the tree spirits that are kind of rising up. And we also fight against the boars who are just harassing the local bears. Then we go to the Weirwood, fight them. And then ultimately, our goal is to take out the Grendel over here who's being a giant dick. So eventually, we do all of this. We go and we fight the Grendel. We take him out and we do fine. We kill him. All is well. Also, sorry, I feel very stuffy right now. I don't know if you can tell. My nose feels a bit clogged, but it is overall fine. So, we're all is settled here. Hagen's like, hell yeah, you beat the Grendel. All is well. Go back to Bjorn and tell him. And you go back to Bjorn. He's like, okay, I see. But, not all is well. You need to go to the Vigrid and solve what's going on there. So, we go to the Vigrid. The Vigrid is a bit, it's under pressure from a traitorous group of bears called the Red Claw. The Red Claw have risen up in revolt against the king, and they kind of just suck overall. So, we go to Eagle Axebreaker over here. He tells us, hey, I need help. Okay, we do that. We're trying to find someone, I believe, what's his name? Ivar Anderson. Ivar Anderson. We need to find Ivar Anderson. And we learn that he is being a dick in Frostholm. And to get into Frostholm, we need to appease this guy over here, I believe. We need to battle him for a thing. I forget, was it the Eye of Truth? Because we need to figure out why Ivar Anderson betrayed them. I think that's what it is. So, to battle this guy, we have to go over to this Grendel dude over here who's... He's not as much of a dick as the others. He's still kind of a dick, though. And he's like, okay, I can let you in there. But first, or I can tell you where the Eye of Truth is. I think that's what he's for, trying to discover the Eye of Truth. But you need to do some things for me first. So first you need to battle Drek Darktooth for some troll shit. And then you come over to Eagle Axebreaker, and you have to take one of his claws. You take it back to the Grendel guy, and he's like, okay, fine. Get the Eye of Truth. You get the Eye of Truth. And then, now you're fine to go into Frostholm. You go into Frostholm, you battle the bear while under the... Or you battle some people under the guise of helping the bears. Excuse me. Eventually, you betray the bear there, and then you battle the Grendels in the end, and they tell you basically Ivar Anderson is not there. He was a fake. I believe you battle a Grendel in disguise as Ivar Anderson. Basically, you realize he's a fake. Frostholm is done, and then you go back to Bjorn Ironclaws, and you're like, oh no, Ivar Anderson has been fucked. And he's like, oh no, that's not good. Ivar Anderson's a cool dude. We need to go save him. So then, he sends you off to Merkholm Keep. Merkholm Keep is a bit different than the other streets, in my opinion. It's a bit different because it's less like Grendel-like, and it starts introducing the further plot in this world and the plot that's going on. So, you come to Merkholm Keep, and you need to assist. That's the word I'm looking for. Assist the wolf here, because there is some evil wolves that have risen up. So you go, you battle them, you take them out, and you also need to get into the last cave area, and to do this, you need help from a Grendel down here. He attempts to help you, and then he's like, no, I'll betray you, I'm a dick. And then you kill him, and he's like, okay, whatever. And then you come back to the wolf. Basically, you're still trying to find Ivar Anderson. You eventually get to the end of the street, and Ivar Anderson is there, but you discover that a raven, which ravens are supposed to be peaceful, I don't know what's going on, a raven has kidnapped him and is being an overall dick. So, you kill him, absolutely stomp him, curb stomp him into the ground, and then you get Ivar Anderson out of that cage, and Ivar Anderson's like, thank you, young wizard. And then, Bjorn, you go back to him, and he's like, okay, fine, you can see the king. You can see the king. You've proven your worth. You go. The king's like, hey, you're the wizard I've heard so much about. And you're like, hell yeah, I am. And he's like, yes. Okay. I need your help once again, young wizard. Now, this is where the king is a massive dick. Because basically, he tells you, all right, go into Nidavellir, which is the Hall of Glory, like the Hall of Battle type beat of Grizzleheim, and he's like, you must defeat 3 giant fucking Grendels, which has 7,500 health at level 40. What is wrong with you, king? I don't know what's wrong with you, but he sends you down here, and you go here, you battle him, you have an absolutely rough time because it is massively painful, but you do it, you figure it out, everything goes fine, and you can see that this place is very, very interesting. It has a very interesting design because you can see it has kind of the spiral going on here, and then it has the depiction between the battle between the fire dragons and the ice titans, which in the dawn of time were kind of the 2 of the rulers, the third one being the storm tritons, whatever they're called, and that is the depiction of them, which is kind of how this world is said to be formed, is from the ice giant, the frost giant, which has entered an eternal sleep after his war. So, battle the Grendels, come back here, and the king is like, okay, sick, you're doing a great job, you're a pretty cool kid. And then it turns out his advisor, who's a raven, is like, oh no, this child will discover our plans and ruin them. And then he attacks you, and then you murk him, you kill him, and he flees. And then the king's like, oh no, you must go to Ravenscar because the ravens have betrayed us. And then you're like, okay, fine. And then go to Ravenscar, which is like one of the worst streets in this game. It's absolutely slow, brutal, disgusting, savage, awful. But you come in here, and I believe what's the guy's name? Mugen? Harafen. I was close. Harafen. And he's like, you must discover the raven, or he's like, you must discover the raven's plans because they're all being evil and shit. And you're like, okay, fine. So you battle like fucking the entire world here. You like battle like it's 6 bosses, 8 bosses. They all have like 3,000 health. All the while discovering things. You eventually come to the Glacial Waste area. You find Gurtok Barrier Demon, and he's like, yes, I will help you, young wizard. I will release the barrier to those ravens over there that you have to beat, but only if you help me. And then you help him, and then he's like, ha! And then he tries to massacre you. You know, he's like, oh, young wizard, you've made a mistake. I will kill you. And you're like, oh, shit. And then he tries to kill you. And it's a solo fight against a boss that has like 6k health. You beat him up, it's fine. If you're balanced, use Judgment. If you're Storm, use Tempest. If you're Fire, you're fucked. Doesn't matter though. But basically, you defeat him, release the barrier, and you come to the 4 ravens right over here. Oath and Stormfather, Cole Shadowsong, Moon and Mistweaver, and Mord Runechanter. You fight them all at once. You find out that the ravens have a diabolical plan. You don't discover exactly what it is, but you just know that it's a diabolical plan, and you need to stop them. You beat them up, and then that's that. You have saved Ravenscar and Grizzleheim from trouble, but have you though? Because Wintertusk is coming up, and that is spooky. I'm not doing Wintertusk in this video. It's technically part of Grizzleheim, but I don't consider it entirely a part of Grizzleheim. It is technically a part of Grizzleheim, but I'm going to be doing that probably after Dragonspire and before Celestia. So, if you enjoyed this video of Grizzleheim, please drop a like, hit the sub button. I basically, I know Grizzleheim, this probably wasn't as in-depth as the last one, but, Grizzleheim's probably the world I have the least amount of knowledge of out of all of them. So, this will probably be like the worst video content-wise, but that's fine. I still felt like I needed to do it. So, if you enjoyed, please drop a like and hit the sub button. Next episode will be Mushu, which I will absolutely love to do. And so yeah, I'll see you then. Have a fantastic day. Thank you all for watching.